Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in our virtual open house 2021. I am Crystal from CBC and I will be your MC for today. Let's start off by testing the audience on some CBC facts. Do you know when CBC first started? Actually, the very first batch of graduates were rolled out in 2009. As a relatively new faculty, CBC has offered many new degree programs such as CBC with Business, International Trading, and CBC with Environmental Science. Other double majors offered include CBC with Food Science and Technology, which have been around for a while longer. However, this barely scratches the surface as CBC offers so much more. Today's program is as follows. First, we have Associate Professor Tan Hao Siang. Followed by Senior Lecturer Dr. Sumot. Next, we have one of our alumni, Zixuan. And finally, we have one of our fellow Year 3 CBC students, Wei Bin. If you have any questions throughout this sharing session, please type in your questions below so we may address them later during the Q&A. Also, if you wish to find out more in person, you can check out our SPMS tours available for limited sign-ups on our open house website too. At any point in time, if you have any queries, feel free to head down to our Telegram at NTU_chemistry to post your questions. Without further ado, let us invite Associate Professor Tan Hao Siang to share. Prof. Tan, please.
Thank you, Crystal. Good morning, everyone. Glad that you can join us virtually in our NTU open house. So I'm Associate Professor Tan Hao Siang, and I teach physical chemistry at the Division of Chemistry and Biological Chemistry. So I'm here today to kind of like to chat with you guys about some of the things that's happening in chemistry at NTU. So I guess you guys are here because you are kind of interested in chemistry. And there's something wrong with my clicker. Okay, that's okay now. And I guess people who are interested in chemistry are people who are interested in anything molecular. So I guess that's why you're here. You're at least interested in things that's molecular. So you'll probably be interested in the why and the whats of chemistry, meaning why is there chemical bonds? Why are molecules behaving the way that they are? Or you may be interested in like how things are being synthesized in the lab, the how part, right? How you look at these molecules, beautiful molecule, and you want to make them. How do you make them? And also you may be someone who has a more practical, kind of like approach to life. You want to know what I can do to contribute to society. So you want to ask what's good for, what's chemistry good for? You want to contribute to society. You want to make things happen. You want to make molecules that is good for cancer research and so on and so forth. Well, these questions are all very good questions to ask when you're shopping around for a degree program, and I hope I'll be able to answer some of these questions. So I guess some of the questions that you are on, at the top of your mind when you're shopping around for a degree is, can I get a job after this? And also maybe, is this a good place for me? Is this exciting enough for me? Is this a fun place for me? So I'll try to answer these questions in this 10 minutes, 15 minutes that I have here. First off, let's talk about what kind of jobs you can get. So don't have that much time, so I'm just going to flash up all these logos and tell you these are basically some, not the exhaustive list, but some of the employers in Singapore that's hiring our graduates. Here you can see it's a whole range, a whole spectrum of companies, from like chemical-related company, Pfizer, DuPont, and drug companies, GSK, petrochemicals, right, the semiconductor industry, to the civil service, the service to nation, DSO, HSA, police force, to corporate companies, Singapore Airlines, banking industry, and so on and so forth. So you can see there's a huge range of employers in Singapore, and the job opportunity is quite, in a sense, very well spread out. So to put into words, these are some of the jobs that you may be able to get as, with a chemistry training, right, with the appropriate training in your analytical skills, scientific logic, and so on and so forth, data capabilities, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we can talk more about that if you're interested, but I'll just carry on and just show you some of this, our pictures of our alumni right? Sherman, who's in the Pfizer, and a couple of our ladies here in the banking industry. So you may be surprised that you find a lot of some of our graduates going into the banking and finance industry. But it's not so much of a surprise if you realize that actually scientific training actually requires a lot of quantitative skill, logical training, looking at problems and solving complex issues, right? And of course, like in service of the nations, the police force, the home team, and HSA, Health Science Authority, and education sector, lecturers in polytechnics, in JCs, and so on and so forth. And of course, if you're really interested in chemistry, sometimes you want to go a little bit further and look into a career in research, be it a research scientist in A-star, research in industry, or in universities or higher education, tertiary education areas. So you can have so some of our alumni managed to get top scholarships and do pursue their dreams and their PhD. All right, so jobs. There are quite a lot for chemistry now. Maybe I'll try to answer what about, is this a good place to be? Is this an exciting place to be? And whether this place is actually, up to your expectation. Well, one way to basically gauge whether this place is good is we can think of the reputation that our chemistry department, chemistry division here in NTU is, and what the wider world, the industries, and people in the know rank us. Of course, these are not very, in a sense, you have to take a bucket of salt with it. But the rankings are very kind of depends on a lot of factors. But I'm just putting some of the more high sought after and well followed rankings, and you can get an idea that NTU chemistry, if not the top 10, is definitely in the top 20. It's very well regarded all over the world. So bear in mind that these are basically, worldwide ranking, right? It's not just like Singapore-based ranking. You have the US ranking, you have the QS, you have the Shanghai Chinese ranking, and so on and so forth. So I'll just go into a bit more detail. These are the latest ranking, and this ranking, which ranks us number 4 in chemistry education, right? This is by the US News. And this US News is actually a magazine based in US, which basically is the main magazine that the prospective undergraduate in US actually read to figure out where they want to go for university education. And we're ranked 4th. Our chemistry program is ranked 4th. Not too bad. Another well-regarded ranking is this QS World University Ranking, and on that ranking, we are ranked 9th. Not too bad as well, together with our beloved brother university from Clementi. Here's another ranking from Shanghai, China, Academic Ranking of World University, and we also ranked top 10 over here. So up there with all the your usual suspects of good university, Harvard, Caltech, and so on and so forth. And this is a Nature Index, which is a more recent ranking that typically stresses on publications in top publications in science, and in that we are also very well regarded in the top 20, definitely. So in terms of reputation, in terms of what the wider world thinks about us, I think we're very confident and very happy that we are in a very good situation. And of course, that's down thanks to because the ability of us in providing good education, and also in the amount of impact that we can actually make to the real world. Our scientific research and how we actually produce scientific output to actually help in the betterment of people's life. And of course, scientific research is in a sense you talk about blue sky research, where you research for the sake of wanting to basically expand humans' horizon in knowledge. But also, as chemists in the 21st century, we are also very aware that our century, in fact, the COVID is one big example, right, that we face a lot of challenges in this century, and our research are also geared towards all these. So you can see some of the major challenges that we have, and I'm just going to flash through some very selective research that my colleagues here in chemistry at NTU do that kind of will be interesting. There are many others, so I encourage you to actually ask us questions or go to a website, and if you're interested in chemistry as a science and want to be a chemist, for life, or you want to do things molecular, you can check us out. Over here we have Associate Professor Ling Xingyi, whose research is on nanoscience. So she specializes in making really highly organized nanoparticles that can fulfill all sorts of uses. So over here, I just flashed some of the examples here. It can be used in counterfeit note, anti-counterfeiting. I'm sorry, not to counterfeit notes, but for anti-counterfeit. You could put labels on, small little nanoparticles on your banknotes to make sure that they are the real banknotes. The one that actually kind of like made more impact more recently is that her research together in collaboration with the medical practitioner came out with this nanoparticle array that they can actually detect a minute amount of molecules in urine, and they can use it to actually identify pregnancy outcome, and that's very good for ladies, for the natal health and things like that. And more recently, that's research undergoing. She's also trying to use this for COVID research as well. So other examples, we have Professor Singh Bengang here. His main research is in biological chemistry and chemical biology. Right? He specializes in creating novel molecules that can actually help in medical sciences. The bottom screen, the nice green circles and red circles you see are actually biomedical fluorescent molecules that he made and attached to cancer cells. So it allows doctors to see clearly where the cancer tumors are. And the flashy pictures on top are molecules that is made that can function as like a medicine that is activated by light. So imagine that you can have like a molecule that goes through the body, and only at the location where you want it to be activated, you shine some laser light through the skin and it will be activated there. That's the idea. And we have Swanson, Associate Professor Swanson. His specialty is how do you make like waste material, like waste plastic, and convert them in a very efficient way using sunlight, very renewable way, to make it into fuel. Right? In this case, this cartoon that you see here, how he can make plastic, break them apart into the molecules that can be fed into fuel cells. Right? So this artificial photosynthesis, very important for our challenges in this coming, millennium of this decade or this century, in fact. We have also on the more medical front, Professor Chiba-san. He specialized in making beautiful, complicated molecules, sometimes for fun. He admitted that some molecules are just too elegant for him not to make them, but some of them are really, very useful for medical reasons, such as all these like a cancer drug, where he actually made anti-cancer drugs and in a much cheaper and also toxic-free environment. So sustainability as well as betterment of human health. All these are done in collaboration with like Pfizer company, famous for the COVID vaccine and also Viagra, and also he's also as mentioned, total synthesis of natural and unnatural compounds. Whatever you want to make, he is the guy who can make molecules. And we have also inorganic chemistry synthesis. We have Associate Professor Lam Wing-Ki here, who specializes in metacluster chemistry. And he's one example where enterprising students under him can take some of the invention and discovery in his lab and then run away and set up a entrepreneur startup, right? To basically put all this scientific research into practical usage and make some money on the way. So these are some selection of some of the exciting sciences, and if you're really someone interested in molecular science, you should come to chemistry. And if you come and join us in chemistry, we also try actively include undergraduates in our research. There's a lot of programs. Sumot, my colleague, later will tell you a little bit about them. I'll just highlight one of them, which is because it's quite new, and this is this idea of an Odyssey program. We create a scientific environment for aspiring chemists, and not just chemists, physicists and biologists as well, to come under umbrella, provide the network and also the activity base that a talented and passionate undergraduate can go into if they are interested in science, to pursue intellectual activities, scientific research, and so on and so forth. So I hope I sort of answered some of the queries you would have about whether this is a good place to be, chemistry, if you're interested in chemistry, and the jobs perspective and and all those things. Now I'm going to pass over my mic, or rather my baton here, to my colleague Sumot, and he'll add more meat to the program by telling you the details about the programs that we offer in CBC. All right? Thank you. And Sumot, here.
Hi, my name is Sumot Pularkat, and I'm a senior lecturer here at the Division of Chemistry and Biological Chemistry, what we call CBC at NTU. What I'd like to talk to you about is some of the key aspects of the programs that we offer in the undergraduate curriculum, as well as the details about the curriculum that we have. Right. So these are the 4 programs that we offer. The main program is the basic degree, the BSc honors degree in chemistry and biological chemistry, which you complete in 4 years. We also have 3 other second major programs. So these second major programs are targeted at students whose interests are in specific areas. So the oldest one that we have, the most established one, is the one in food science and technology. So the second major in food science and technology. So we run this program with collaboration with the Wageningen University in the Netherlands. Okay? So it's a joint program with Wageningen University. So the second major, that's the second major in food science and technology. The other second major that we have is the one in environmental science. Now, this program is run again in collaboration with 2 schools. The first is the Asian School of Environment, or ASC in NTU, and also the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering, SCEE in NTU. Okay? The third and the newest second major program that we have is the one in international trading. So this just started. So if you are planning to join, you are eligible for this program because this will kick off in the coming admission year, right? And this program in the international trading is run in collaboration with the Nanyang Business School, NBS, which has an international reputation in the area of business and management, and with the Center of Excellence in International Trading at NTU, right? So it's a specialized program. So the main program that I mentioned earlier is our flagship program, and then we have 3 second major programs in specific areas, okay? Now, let me just go through the curriculum of the flagship main program, the BSc Honors degree. So when you join us in the first year, we have students coming from the junior colleges, we have students coming from the polytechnics. So what we like to do in the first year is to make sure that the fundamentals and the basics are the same for every student, irrespective of their background. So we do that by covering these topics. So for example, you can see the biochemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic, physical chemistry, the fundamental areas, plus a little bit of mathematics, which you need, and physics, the basics, which you need for an understanding of some of the chemistry theory, and also a little bit of computational thinking. And in the second year, when you go into the second year, you take foundational and intermediate courses. So we add on things like analytical chemistry, right? So you start taking courses in analytical chemistry, and then the traditional fields. In the second and third year, you also start taking electives, which I'll touch upon a little bit later. In the third year, you go into advanced courses, again in the various areas. So the ones that I've indicated in the slides are just indicating the area. The courses that you take are much more in number and much broader, right? And in your final year, you take specialized courses which suits your interest, which are much deeper in theory, as well as you have the option to do either an industrial attachment in a company or a final year project with us here in CBC in any of the areas of research in which our professors are working on, the ones that Prof. Hao Xiang mentioned earlier. Another key aspect of our curriculum is that you have the option of doing research in between your semester years, right? So between the first year and second year, you have a vacation, which usually spans about 2 months' time. You have the option, right? It's not compulsory. You have the option of coming back and doing some real-world research during your vacation time. So that means that in the summer, you can come back and join a research group and actually work on projects that are ongoing in research groups. So that is summer research. Some of our courses, the normal curriculum, have laboratory courses included. But this summer research is different because you actually work on real-world projects, right? So that is summer research. And you have the option of electives, as I mentioned earlier. So there are two kinds of electives. One is the prescribed electives. These are courses, a basket of courses, which are provided to you. And you can choose from these courses based on your interest. For example, if you're interested in medicinal chemistry, you can choose courses in pharmaceutical chemistry, natural product chemistry, and maybe biological imaging and sensing, right? Or if you're interested in nanoscience, you can choose courses in nanoscience. So these are electives from which you take a certain number of courses. Then you have the deepening electives in which you can take courses which are offered either by us or by any other school in NTU, so that you have much more depth in a specific area. You can also take broadening electives, and these are things that you're passionate about, right? Of course, you're passionate about chemistry, but you have a second passion, maybe in business, in entrepreneurship, in humanities, or you want to maybe take a language, learn a new language. You can do that as part of the broadening electives. Now, from this academic year, we are also kickstarting something called an interdisciplinary collaborative core, which means that every student who joins NTU, they'll take courses focusing on key transferable skills, right, and challenges for the future. And we also have a foundational course taken, in which you take things like communication, courses in communication, digital literacy, and also a mandatory professional internship. So if you're taking the final year research project, you are supposed to take the compulsory professional internship, which is a short one, okay? Right, and you can take a minor. So if you take a major in chemistry and biological chemistry, you're free to take a minor. It's optional, right? For example, you can take a minor in economics, or in business, in psychology, or any of the programs that are offered in NTU. So that is another avenue that is open to you and you can avail of. One of the elective courses that we have in CBC, so we were the pioneers in Singapore in offering an elective course in forensic science. And our forensic science course is extremely popular, right? So if you see the numbers there on the screen, the NTU enrollment for the forensic chemistry course is 1,500 students. So actually it's held in an extremely large lecture theater, which almost looks like a football stadium, right? And the course is conducted by Professor Roderick Bates, who you see there on the screen. So he's there on the screen on the slide for a different reason from the person that you see at the bottom, okay? Right. So he takes the course and it's extremely popular. And the good thing is that as a student of CBC, well, for this course, the demand is so high that there's usually a waiting list of students trying to get in from all over NTU campus. But as a student of CBC, you get a first preference, and you're guaranteed a place in this program, this extremely popular course. This course is also offered on Coursera with an international enrollment of about 16,000 students. So it tells you how popular this lecture course is. Now, the second major programs that we have, the one in food science and technology that I mentioned, which we run in collaboration with the Wageningen University. The program structure is very similar. So the grayed out area that you can see on the slide are the areas which overlap with our main degree program. But once you start in the second year, you can see that the highlighted courses are the additional courses that you take as part of the second major. So for example, you start taking courses in the second year in food chemistry, food microbiology, and additional electives in the area of food science. In year 3, you take food physics, quality systems and operation, things that are relevant to the food industry, which is, by the way, a very high growth area in Singapore, right? You also get to do priority internship in the local food industry, right? In companies, reputed companies in Singapore. In the final year, again, you can take an industrial attachment, which is related to food science, or a final year project. In this program also, you get to do the summer research, which I mentioned earlier. And you also get to do a summer exchange program in the Netherlands at the University of Wageningen. And it's fully funded by the program, right? So that is another highlight of the second major in food science and technology. So it's a selective program. We admit a small number of students on into this program. And yeah. So the next second major is the one in environmental science. Again, as the name suggests, it is in a high growth area, something that we are looking forward to in the future to have significant impact. So we run this program in collaboration with the Asian School of Environment in NTU, as well as the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering, right? And again, in this course, you take additional course on top of your core curriculum in environment and society, in things like sustainability management, climate change, biosphere, natural hazards. So you can see that, again, very, very relevant, very, very current topics and areas that you cover by the time you graduate. Things like environmental science, earth science. And again, in your final year, you can either take an industrial attachment in the area of environmental science or a final year project. You get chance to do the summer research. You also get chance to go on field trips during your program, because environmental science field trips are very critical as part of your curriculum. The newest program, the newest second major program we have is the one in business, international trading. Similar structure. You take additional courses relevant to the area in management, accounting, commercial trade, international trade. So this is to equip students who will have a core competence in chemistry, but have additional knowledge in the area of trading. So you know that Singapore is one of the main key hubs for the chemical industry, the fine and industrial chemical industry, including the pharmaceutical chemicals. And this course is tailor-made to equip you to take up senior leadership positions in these companies, so that you know the core chemistry theory and practical skills, but on top of that, you also have specialized training in international trade and commercial trading. Okay? So this program we run with the Nanyang Business School and the Center for Excellence in International Trading at NTU. So it's the newest program we have. Now, during your stay with us in NTU, you get to do, every student who is taking a research FYP in the final year, you don't miss out on internship, because you still get to do what is called a professional attachment, which lasts 10 weeks. And during these 10 weeks, you spend your time in a company of your choice. So our attachment office, the career attachment office, will link you up and pair you up with a company. And you can work for 10 weeks, anytime during your first 3 years, ideally, on your professional attachment. We also have a professional internship, which I mentioned to you earlier, which you do typically in the final year, which lasts 20 weeks. Okay? So we have a lot of companies, well-known companies, some of which Professor Hao Xiang had mentioned earlier, some of which that you can see on the screen now, where our career attachment office will pair you up with to do your either your professional attachment or your professional internship. Now, we also have a very special internship program. This is something like a work-study scheme. It's called the Cooperative Education Program. It's very specialized. We take a very small number of students under this. The key difference in this program is it lasts and spans the whole 4 years that you stay with us. So as you can see, it spans 30 weeks throughout your 4 years, right? Between year 1, year 2, year 3, and in your final year. And you stay with the same company. So by the time you graduate, you have 30 weeks worth of significant intensive internship experience to show in your CV by the time you graduate. So it's a specialized program. These are some of the companies that we have collaborations with to run this program that you can see on the left-hand side. And if you choose the other path of final year project, Professor Hao Xiang had mentioned the key areas of research that we have going on in CBC. You can do a final year project in your final year. So that is another option that's available to you. You work on ongoing research projects in cutting-edge areas of chemical science. You can also do an exchange during your stay. So you can visit the NTU website for exchange, and you can see that we have a lot of exchange collaborations and agreements with top universities in the world. And the photos that you see at the bottom of that slide is actually our students who have gone on exchange in universities like Imperial College in London, in the University of Cambridge, and other top universities all over the world. So once you do an exchange, you can carry over the credits for the courses that you read on exchange and use it for your graduation requirement. So with that, I come to the end of the curriculum. I hope that I have at least covered the key aspects. If you would like to learn more, please visit our website where much more detailed information is available. And you can always use our Telegram chat, which we have going on live, to clarify and ask queries on the curriculum. Thank you, and with that, I'll pass over to Crystal. Crystal?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumot, for the very clear introduction. If you have any further questions for the professors, you can also leave them down below, and we will address them later during the Q&A segment. Next up, let's invite one of our alumni to share her experiences with us. Zishan has graduated with a Bachelor of Science in CBC. She is a recipient of a number of awards, including the NTU Research Excellence Award, the Global Undergraduates Award, and SPMS Student of the Year in Outstanding Achievement. She also won the gold medal at WorldSkills Singapore under Chemistry Laboratory Technology, going on to represent Singapore in WorldSkills Kazan. Recently, she has also been awarded the Think Swiss Research Scholarship, which will allow her to do research work in Switzerland for a few months. We are incredibly honored to have her join us today. Zishan, please.
Thank you, Crystal. So good morning, everyone. My name is Zishan, and I just graduated from CBC last year. So since Prof. Tan and Dr. Sumot has given great overviews of the programs on modules of CBC, I'll just share my personal experience. So over my 4 years, I had plenty of research opportunities and went on a few overseas trips, and I have been actively involved in various CCAs. So being in chemistry, one would expect research to be sort of part of your curriculum or your degree program. So in my 4 years, I did a total of 4 projects, all with different modules and programs as mentioned by Prof. Tan and Dr. Sumot. So over the years, I've synthesized a few compounds. I grew many crystals and even used lasers to investigate some reactions. And through these experiences, I had access to a multitude of instruments which will only otherwise be available if you undertake research as a postgraduate student. So moving on to something a bit more interesting, which is all the overseas opportunities. So I went on a total of 3 overseas trips. So the first being the WorldSkills competition in Russia, which was mentioned by Crystal earlier. So I was selected to go for this competition after I got the gold medal in the national competition. So I got to know a lot of other Singaporean competitors from the different skill categories, such as like restaurant servicing, computing, nursing, and the list goes on. So I've also had the chance to interact with competitors from all over the world and learn a lot of new things through this journey. So the second experience would be an international conference I attended in Northern Ireland, Dublin. And this is, I got this opportunity as one of my research papers from the Eureka program got highly commended, and it afforded me with this opportunity to attend this Global Undergraduate Summit. So through this summit, I got to meet with the top undergraduate researchers from all over the world and get to hear about what they do and what it is like in their universities. So through this, I've also managed to get great advice from them and forge lifelong friendships. So the last experience would be my exchange program, which I went to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And one of the good things of the exchange program is that the modules that you take there are not really graded. Hence, I could learn new things at my own comfortable pace, while also having time to immerse in the local culture, while still doing things that I enjoy. So I managed to travel around a fair bit, explored the Scottish Highlands, and finally had time to play a sport which I stopped after graduating from JC. So I joined the university team and even got to play with them at a few tournaments. So all in all, I can say that NTU has partnerships with a lot of universities from different countries, and there's a lot of opportunities for you to go for a overseas trip. So I would like to add that like in university, it's not really all about studying. So I feel that university is full of opportunities where you can continue doing what you love, try new things, meet like-minded people, and while taking a break from studying. So when you Google about the list of CCAs in NTU, there's really anything under the sun. So like in brief for me, it's like I enjoy volunteering, I enjoy doing sound, I enjoy photography and organizing events, and all of which I managed to get a little bit off by joining the different CCAs. So first, I was an active volunteer with the elderly pre-COVID, and we visited them at the various elderly homes once a week and occasionally organized events for them. So second, I joined Concert Engineers, where we provided sound support for many events within and out of NTU, and I got to play with pretty advanced sound equipment, and since I kind of participate in all the events that my CCA supports, it made my university life much more vibrant. Third, I continued photography by taking pictures for events organized by the different clubs and societies, ranging from volunteering events to various art events. These pictures are from one of the events which I went to, which was a dance sport competition. So next, I had tried my hand in organizing events and have been part of an organizing committee for the university-wide arts festival for 2 years. So this is the Nanyang Arts Festival in 2019, which was rebranded as the NTU Arts Festival in 2020. Also, I've helped SPMS in organizing their yearly science camp, where secondary school students come over to the school to learn science through games and activities revolving around chemistry, math, and physics. So last but not least, I also took part in various orientation activities throughout the year as a seniors to facilitate games or as a GL. So this would be my uni life in a nutshell. So I hope my sharing has provided you with probably what would university life will have in store for you. So I'll pass the time back over to Crystal.
Thank you, Zishan. That was really so inspirational and cool. Now let us move on to our Q&A segment. Joining us is Wei Bin, a third-year chemistry student pursuing a minor in psychology, to share with us what life is really like as a student in CBC. If you have any questions on student life in CBC for him, this is a reminder to drop your questions down below. So first up, let's see what our first question is. Okay, so the first question goes out to the floor. How different is H2 chemistry in JC compared to chemistry in NTU?
Right, actually for this question, if we can see it in two different ways first. So firstly, if you're worried about the content, being is it too difficult to catch up for chemistry in NTU when you have just graduated with H2 chemistry in JC? Actually not really, because the first, as mentioned earlier, the first year modules are actually have some degree of overlap with our current our JC topics, and it actually leads on forward. So between the modules as well, there is no real big leap that is very hard to bridge. So in this case, it will be quite similar to the way you study in JC probably, because it will still be in a guided fashion, just like in JC. So the second aspect of this question, which I think is rather important, would be in terms of time management. Because in JC, we have a more structured curriculum. You are forced to go to school every day, regardless of whether you have classes or not. But now in university, you have a lot of freedom. And in NTU, there is also a lot of opportunities. So what usually happens is some people tend to overcommit. And in this case, they are not able to plan their time as wisely. So in this case, maybe the difference will be to practice time management more.
Okay, for our next question, we have, do students decide on our second major upon entry or after the first year? I think this question should be directed to Dr. Sumat.
Yeah, thank you, Crystal. Yeah, so we have 3 second major programs, as I mentioned earlier. And the entry to the second major for the food science technology major is actually you can either apply at admission, or you are also allowed a chance to come into the second major after your first year of study with us. So there are 2 options available. For the other 2 second major programs, the entry is at admissions, right? So that's it. So that's the admission requirement for our second major programs.
And I think the follow-up question for this. Oh, sorry, there's a different question now. So this question says, "Hi, I would like to ask if it is difficult to find a job as a chemistry graduate." Would anyone like to pick that up?
Well, perhaps I can try to attempt to answer this question. I guess during the times of COVID, I guess it's kind of like it's going to be the challenge for a lot of people to find jobs. But as a chemistry graduate, I think one key strength that a science graduate has, and chemistry is a science graduate, is that it's a general degree, and you're basically trained for a whole wide variety of kinds of possible job career. So some examples we have shown, it's like you can be in the banking, you can be in the industry, you can be in research. It's quite versatile. So what's one way that we ask students to do when they do a degree in chemistry or the sciences is that do take up a second a minor that will really boost your job prospects even more. So a lot of our students will like take, so for example, Wei Bing here takes psychology, right, minor, yeah, and then there would be students who take up entrepreneurship or business studies and so on and so forth. That would make them much more marketable and put them in a better position to find a good job of their dreams after they graduate. And hopefully the COVID, the pandemic will blow over and everybody will be in a better position for a better future. I hope I answered the question. So let's see what's the next question.
Okay, the next question is that I heard that NTU has made changes to the curriculum to make it more multidisciplinary. What changes will be made to CBC other than compulsory internship? I think Dr. Sumat?
Yeah. Okay, so what NTU has started from the coming academic year is something called the integrated core curriculum. So this, as I mentioned briefly in my slides earlier, is a set of courses which every graduate, irrespective of what program they are doing in NTU, will read. And this is so that you have some core skills in transferable skills as well as competencies in things like collaborative projects and stuff like that. So this is what we have are courses that cater to that, to improve your soft skills as well as your transferable skills. And the other key objective of the core curriculum that we have introduced is to allow you to work with students from other disciplines. Not only just other students from other programs in the College of Science, but you also work with, for example, students in the School of Humanities, School of Social Sciences, the Business School. So you get to work together with students from a wide range of disciplines, and hopefully you learn something from them, they learn something from you. So that is the main thing. And then we also introduced something called a compulsory short internship for students who are on the research FYP track. So if you are choosing to do the research FYP, that means that you will still need to do a short internship of around 10 weeks, which I mentioned earlier in my talk, which is called a professional attachment. And our career attachment office at NTU will actually help to pair you up with a company to do this internship program, right? So I think that is pretty much answered. Yeah.
Oh, but Dr. Sumat, since internship is now compulsory, would there be more competition for internship spots, or is the school working on more collaborations with different companies or government agencies?
So right, so this compulsory internship, as I mentioned, is only for students who are going on the internship track and not all those on the research track. So that means that the students who are doing in the research track are usually not a significant number, and this internship is short, it's only for 10 weeks. So that means that our CAO as well as the division and the department will be able to link up with the companies to provide enough internship positions. And the other thing is that you can do this compulsory internship anytime during your first 3 years, right? So there's flexibility there. You can either do it in the end, between your first year and second year, or between your second year or third year, or even between your third year and fourth year. So there is a lot of chances for you to do the internship. And there is even provision under the new curriculum to do this internship while you are doing courses in the semester, because you can do it as a part-time program spanning a few semesters. So I believe that won't be an issue.
Oh, okay, thank you. So our next question is, how will exchange programs be affected given that COVID is still happening?
Yeah, so COVID has, because of the travel restrictions which are beyond what we can control, right, which has impacted everything from our holidays to business trips, exchange programs have been impacted. So we can't really foresee how it's going to go from now on. But we hope that with the situation improving, with the vaccination programs kicking in various parts of the world, we hope that slowly the internship opportunities, the overseas internship opportunities will start to open up and will improve. Yeah.
Oh man, I sure hope so. Okay, our next question is, hi, can I check what is the median starting pay of graduates?
I guess that's the $100,000 million question that everybody has. I think I just checked the statistics. It's roughly about $3,300 to $3,400. That's about. I guess that's kind of normal for a university honors degree holder in the sciences. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. Oh, our next question. Will I get the chance to learn programming skills in the CBC program?
Yes, a lot of opportunity. I think, starting a couple of years ago, we already, from the first year, there would be classes that includes programming in it already. I don't know whether Sumot has more specific, or I think that's...
Right from the first year, you have courses which cover things like data science, artificial intelligence, Python programming, for example. So these are incorporated not only into the CBC program, but also into the new integrated core curriculum, which is NTU-wide. Yes, so you have sufficient opportunities to gain those skills.
Actually, for that question, right, I also want to add that we also have a module called AI in Chemistry, which links artificial intelligence to applications in chemistry. And actually, if you're really interested after that module, there are actually quite a lot of professors that work on AI in chemistry, and you can actually work with them for research, for instance, in FYP or summer research. And it can really help you apply those knowledge you have learned, like, for example, the programming knowledge.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, guys. So our next question is, will the summer research be graded or counted towards my GPA?
Yeah. Okay. So the summer research, which I mentioned, is the thing that you do between your academic years during the summer vacation, part of your summer vacation. The first time that you do it, it's not graded. The reason is that we want you to test the waters. We want even students who are going on industrial internship track to try the summer research. So the first time that you do it, it's not graded. The subsequent years between your second year and third year, and between your third year and fourth year, when you do it, you do accumulate AUs, and it is graded and contributes towards your graduation requirement.
Okay, thank you. So our next question is, if we choose a second major, do we get to choose our electives, or is it already decided, Dr. Sumot?
Okay, yeah, so whenever you choose a second major, along with the second major, there are some compulsory courses which comes as part of the second major, as well as a certain basket of courses which are prescribed electives from which you pick up certain courses that are of interest to you, right? So you can choose your electives within a certain prescribed electives. And of course, on top of that, the general electives you can always free to choose.
Okay, thank you. So our next question is, what is the minimum GPA requirement to take part in the Odyssey program as mentioned by the professors just now?
All right. Thank you for the question. So this Odyssey program, let me remind most people who may not be familiar, it's a special program for the undergraduates which is targeting for people who are very interested in sciences, intellectual activities, and scientific research. So this program is usually for students start to be involved in this program at the end of their first year. In fact, it's not just first year. You can choose to do it at the end of your second year during the June-July vacation, okay? And for that, because it has to do with research, and we don't want it to actually interfere with your kind of like normal coursework, we do have minimum GPA requirement. but they are not super high. So in fact, on top of that, the more important thing is actually we get all those students who are interested in this, we will interview them. And during the first year, all these students who are interested, they will already be invited to take part in some of the activities of the Odyssey program to let them see whether they feel that this is something that I want to do. And also at the end of it, if they want to do it, there will be an interview process on top of a GPA requirement. So that's how we're doing this Odyssey program at this time. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prof. Our next question is, how do I apply for the cooperative education program?
Yeah, so for the co-op education program, which is our special internship program, something like a work-study scheme, you apply for it at the end of your first year with us, right? And what happens is that we will give you the details of the companies which are participating in this program. And once you put in your application, there's an initial screening by the division. We will interview you, we'll talk to you to make sure that your passion and your interest is suited for this program. And then you will also have a screening by the companies participating in the program. So the companies will do an interview, will do a screening, and then you are selected to join the program. Yeah, it happens at the end of the first year. You apply at the end of your first year.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sumot. Our next question is there any form of mentorship for CBC students? Prof. Tan?
Yeah, so for all incoming undergraduate students in CBC, you'll be assigned to a faculty mentor. Okay, so typically the faculty mentor will set up meetings for once a year, and of course he or she will be very happy to meet up with the mentees anytime upon request as well. Actually, we actually find the challenge is rather the students who don't want to be mentored. The students avoid any mentorship. But just to, that's a joke aside. But essentially, there would be a mentorship scheme for all CBC students. It really depends on how much the student want to make out of it.
Thank you so much. Our next question is, what is the difference between an elective and a minor?
Okay, so the basic difference is that an elective is something that you take as part of your core curriculum, right? So that means that if you're doing a basic degree in chemistry, you are free to choose an elective. So you're provided a certain number of academic units, and you can use those academic units to take electives of your interest. But when you are doing a minor, you apart from taking the courses which are required for the minor, your minor will be reflected in your degree certificate, right? So you will say that you've done the basic degree in chemistry, plus you have done a minor by taking the minor requirement, which is very specific, which are a few number of courses which you need to take to fulfill the minor. Electives are just part of your curriculum. A certain number of electives you're free to take from any school, any college in NTU, right?
So how many of these electives are we allowed to take?
The number of electives it makes a certain proportion of your curriculum. So it's roughly, I believe, it comes to around 5% or something of your core number of academic units. So within that 5%, you can take 4 or 5 or 6 electives during your 4 years of stay here in any areas of your interest.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sumot. Our next question goes out to Zishen. What kind of character should a researcher have?
What kind of character? I mean, a researcher just has to be a bit open-minded to learning new things, because we are doing general research, so like there is no solution to like the problems we are trying to solve, because we are trying to find all these solutions. So there's always no definite answer, so we just have to just keep looking forward to just explore all the possible solutions there can be.
Yeah, maybe I can add on a little bit. I guess you mean the scientific research in the scientific field. I guess one key thing, as Zushen has already pointed out, is open-mindedness and also curiosity, which is related to that. So you may be doing something that your seniors or your professor ask you to do, but if you're curious about a thing, you have a much bigger perspective of what you're doing. And scientific research, sometimes you don't really know what is the ultimate results that you get. So if you keep a more open mind and you're curious, you tend to be able to catch some interesting things. And you know, as someone tell us, you know, like the most interesting question in the scientific research is, that looks interesting. That's where a scientific discovery is being made. The other thing is, because of the nature of the work, I guess you need to have certain resilience as a researcher, because out of the 10 experiments you're going to do, probably 6.5 is going to fail. So you got to have to basically be able to motivate yourself to do the follow-up experiments to see why it failed, and hopefully it will lead to success next time. And these also comes along with your curiosity. I hope I answered that question.
Thank you, Prof. Tan. Okay, so Dr. Sumot, if someone misses the IGP of double major by a little bit, right, do they still stand a chance to apply for a CBC with second major in environmental studies?
Yeah, I would say that if you are really keen on the second major and you are passionate about the second major program, you should just go ahead and apply, because as you know, during university admissions, we not only consider the IGP, but we also consider things like your co-curricular activities. So I will strongly encourage you to just apply if you are really, really passionate about the second major in environmental science. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So what about the criteria for entering food science as a second major in the second year?
So this second major program in food science and technology is a highly selective program. So obviously, we are not able to accommodate everybody who applies for our main program into the food science program. It is very selective. It is run in collaboration with two other schools in NTU. So from the cohort that applies with us, we usually take from the top. So the number of positions that are typically open for the second major is limited to around 10 to 15 openings. So it is highly selective. So if you have a very good grade profile and you have good co-curricular activities and things like that, which will also be considered, you are strongly encouraged to try the second major. The good thing is that if you apply for the second major and you don't get the second major, you are still considered for our main program, right? So yeah, I encourage you to apply.
Okay, thank you so much. Unfortunately, time is up now, so that is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you still have any further queries, feel free to send a message in the microsite chat down below, or head down to our Telegram group at NTU_chemistry and ask your questions. You can also check out our physical SPMS tours available for limited sign-ups on our open house website too. If you're interested in our math and physics departments, do pop by at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. for their respective segments. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again.